24th, 2022. Can you imagine it? Ed, we're already in 2022. Tonight on the program, we'll be joined by my broadcast partner, Ed Cole. More with Ed in a moment. But on the show, another jam-packed program here for you. Our first of the new campaign here as we segue into 2022. But we're going to talk a little round ball. We're going to go right back to the hardwood here. Men's assistant basketball coach Caleb Oetjen will join us here, the pride of Bethel University. And we will talk a little round ball with the number 8 team in the country. These guys are soaring above everybody right now in the Gsac Conference. There's some work to do in conference play. We'll talk about the Hawks from San Diego Christian later on in the broadcast. And we'll also have on the show a couple of local products that are very talented individuals, great human beings, and they're state champions collectively. They both have a couple pieces of jewelry. Paul Hayden joins us from Sunny Slope High School, and he's a member of the ACU basketball team. Dominic Gonzalez, Dom G for 3, I like to say on the broadcast. Dom, the pride of Ironwood High School, he'll join us on the program as well. And then we'll take it to the Diamond. We'll have a little conversation with associate head coach Mark Flatten. He'll join us, and we look forward to talking a little baseball with Joe McDonald's baseball team. They start off the campaign 2-0. Ed Cole is my broadcast partner. Ed, welcome in to the Storm Report, episode 14. How are you, my buddy?
Mr. Derryberry, Happy New Year, sir. I'm excited to get our first show of the season going on. Let's get this new year started off right with show number 1.
Okay, let's just talk about the new year. We're 24 days into the new year. We're basically flipping into February.
I know.
So,
but for the people who are tuning in, this is the first time they've seen us this year, so I'm wishing you guys a Happy New Year.
Fantastic.
Do you like how I flipped that?
I did. Robert Nielsen is here. Tim Gostin is our executive producer. And just a quick shout out to Armand Jackson. Armand, if you will. We worked together at the baseball game on Saturday. And just shout out to Armand for his efforts for us here. But we're going to take just a brief break. And when we come back on the set will be Caleb Oetjen. We're going to talk a little basketball with the number 8 team in the country. The men's assistant basketball coach joins us right after this. Welcome back inside the Tower Grill. I'm Kevin Derryberry. That's Ed Cole, and joining us on the set here is Caleb Oetjen. Caleb, let's start right off with the uniqueness of your last name. I mean, I go to this card every now and then. My last name is Derryberry, so through the years I've heard a lot of different names, and the spellings. Mail, packages delivered. It's kind of funky sometimes. It's almost entertaining. But with the name Oetjen, what's the nationality behind that? And describe your name a little bit.
Yeah, so Oetjen is a little bit Swedish and mixed in with some German.
Okay.
My dad's dad is originally from northern Germany, so that's kind of where it comes from. But like you said, I've heard everything from oatmeal to ocean to anything you can imagine. So whatever you want to call me. Is fine by me.
Well, they get a little more creative with the Derryberry name.
Right, I was going to say you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I completely do. Well, first and foremost, congratulations on the start of the season. This basketball team is rocking and rolling. You just came off an impressive road trip. We've got a couple of great players here that we're going to talk with here in a moment. But how are things going for you in your first year?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. You mentioned it. The 2 guys are just a piece of the program that we have here, and I just feel very thankful and humbled to be a part of not only a successful basketball program and the success that we're having, but to be surrounded by men who are trying to push each other, trying to do things the right way, grow in their faith, keep Jesus Christ at the center of what we're chasing. And, we're enjoying the ride, and we're thankful for a successful road trip and excited to play on Thursday at home again.
Yeah, 3-1 on that road trip. You and I talked about it before, Coach. You started off with the buzzer beater loss to Menlo, and then you went 3 straight to rally and salvage that road trip. 3 out of 4. That's really great. But what does that show about the resolve of your basketball team? You lose, and then a couple of days later, you play the number 4 team in the country. You beat William Jessup, and then you knock off the Masters. Then you beat Westmont. It just never stops when it comes to Gsac basketball, and the team answered the call.
Yeah, and I came from the Crossroads League at my last stop, and you played Tuesday, Saturday, and that's tough. But being able to play Thursday, Saturday, there's not much time to bounce back. You have to kind of accept what happened in that Thursday game, and then really have the mental toughness and fortitude to just turn the page and focus on your next opponent. So, you touched on it, but I think. The resiliency of these guys, we kind of found out what we're made of on this road trip. We would have loved to have 4 out of 4, but 3 out of 4 on a buzzer beater. We didn't play well against Menlo, but we give credit to Menlo and how they prepped for us, and they were fortunate to come out on top in that game, and a quick bounce back against Jessup. And really, what gives us an edge is our depth. And I think we really were able to see our depth come into play in the last 4 games.
Coach, you mentioned the Crossroads League being a challenge as far as the scheduling. What kind of challenge could it be? I mean, you were the Crossroads Player of the Year. You were an NAIA first-team All-American. You had a lot of success in your collegiate days.
Yeah, I mean, I was surrounded by really good people. Coach Lightfoot is an NAIA Hall of Famer, small college Hall of Famer, and won almost 800 games. And, there's a lot of things that, he was able to impact me. I think a big thing that he always talked about is, this business is about relationships. And if, we're not, as coaches, pouring into our guys and really pointing them to Christ, then, the mission is very shallow in coaching. And so, playing was great, but I love coaching, and like I said, the reason I'm in it is to be Jesus to young men.
Coach Rudder has a knack for finding people like yourself. Hudson Welty will join you on the staff in his first year also. You guys both had some time back in Indiana a little bit, huh?
Yeah, we competed against each other. I've known the Indiana Wesleyan staff for a very long time. Known Coach Tonigal and Coach Clark since probably I was in 6th or 7th grade, being from Indianapolis myself. So feel very fortunate to be around some really good coaches. Feel very fortunate to be working with Coach Hud. This first year has been really good, and we have different strengths, and we enjoy sharing an office space together and pushing each other. And we're excited to see where this group here in 2022 can go.
You talk about those 3 wins on the road. I see the resolve and the bounce back after beating Menlo. Sometimes you just you tip your cap to the opposition, and they had a tremendous bucket there at the end, even a contest by the X-Man Xander Bowers, and it still goes through. But it's how you guys rebound I thought was impressive. But the Gsac Conference will do that to you on a nightly basis.
Yeah, no, it's very competitive. Hope and Jessup are tied at first right now, and we're 1 game back in second. And we feel very fortunate. We lost a tough one at home to Westmont early in the year, and felt really good to get back at those guys on Saturday. But really, AJ was great this weekend. Bryce, Xander, really the whole collective unit. And we do need everybody. We don't have necessarily a guy that can go for 30 a night. We're capable of doing that, but we haven't seen that yet. So it really, our strength has been our depth, and you saw it again on the road.
One quick note, Ed, that win over William Jessup, they were a top 5 team in the country. I think they were number 4 at that time.
Yep.
And that's I believe, if memory serves, Tim could back us up on that, the second win for ACU in their history, beating a top 5 opponent in the country. So that was a big one, to say the least.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. Jessup's very talented. They have some offensive weapons that can really get going, and I thought as a group we did what we were supposed to do. Miles Corey and Cash Williams, they're 2 dynamic guards in the backcourt. Corey actually jumped over one of San Diego Christian's guys and dunked it last weekend. But I thought our guys did a really good job in containing them and making things difficult for them. And, again, fortunate to come out with a W.
Coach O, we've always talked to Coach Rudder and Coach Welty about the importance of defense and how you guys are so stalwart as far as defense is concerned. In that Menlo game, you forced 17 turnovers. In the Masters, you forced 20. How important is that defense in your mind as one of the assistant head coaches for the Firestorm, and how important will that defense be as you move forward toward the Gsac tournament?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. You know, we want to find inside-out shots on offense, and we want to find paint touches, and we have a variety of tremendous shooters, but it really starts on defense. And we, again, going back to our depth, which makes us special because you're able to get up and pressure and really make things hard for your opponent. And you see that with, you know, AJ and Dennis and Dom and Paul and Key and Micah Bradford as well. So, you know, just the variety of guys that we can throw out there at any given time makes us, you know, disruptive on the defensive side of the ball, and really, you know, again, a credit to the guys on the bench and starting. Like, all those guys go out there and compete really hard, you know, and sometimes, you know, a guy who comes off the bench might see 6 minutes or he might see 16 minutes, but he's gonna compete his tail off while he's in there. So
that's something I've seen on the games I do. Fortunate to call those games at home, and the defense truly has been what's driven the success for your offense. You see it on one end, and you get good looks and easy buckets on the other end. But when you talk about Angelo Johnson, he turns up that dial and gives you another dimension. He's the reigning Gsac Defensive Player of the Year. And so when AJ's up top doing his thing and he's healthy and his motor's running, which is a high-octane motor, it's a lot of fun to watch everybody else feed off of him.
Yeah, he's a special player, has unique quickness and has a unique ability to sit down and guard. And, you know, he gets a lot
Sit down and guard.
Yeah.
That is tremendous.
Well, he just gets a lot of deflections, and you know, we kind of feed off of his energy.
Absolutely.
And again, it might not be turning a team over, but it might just be over the course of 40 minutes. You know, we've worn them down so that in that, you know, those final minutes, we have a competitive edge.
Coach, we've got two champions in the house, Dominic Gonzalez, Paul Hayden. Talk about the specialness of those young men coming off the bench and just what they bring to this basketball team.
Yeah, you need to get me off of here and get them on here. You know, viewers will probably enjoy listening to them more than me. But
Caleb's got some good pipes. I'm gonna stick up for Coach Oetjen. He sounds great, and he's calm, cool demeanor.
Coach Welty's got some good pipes too, but
they both
Coach O's kicking it.
All right, well, I appreciate that.
It's the water in Indiana or something. Huh?
I don't know, man. Well, he's from Kansas City, but
okay, that's true.
But anyway, yeah, these two guys that are going to talk to you, tremendous young men. I think, you know, before even talking about their basketball ability, they're you know, very invested in campus life here at ACU and invested in the program. And, you know, when we had our team retreat back before this thing even started, they were very involved in creating our core values and the standards that we have for our program. And, you know, each program has similar standards, but each year, each team is different, and these two play a very special role in this year's team. But obviously, you know, young guys, very talented, can shoot it, can defend it, and they're going to be really a very major and central focus for this program going forward in the years to come.
Got to love the youth, right? Got to absolutely love the youth.
That's not me anymore. That's them.
Coach, you know, you cut your teeth as a coach, perhaps somewhere before Mount Vernon Nazarene, but the last 2 years, that's where you spent. And one of your aspects of your job was recruiting. What's it like when you get a player to sign on the dotted line? We know the recruiting process. We see it publicly at in FBS schools and Division I programs, but here in the NAIA, it's still a little bit of a challenge. It's not easy, and recruiting in the Gsac too is just a different type of animal. What's it like what's that feeling like for you when you get to add one?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, you feel very thankful when you sign a recruit, when you talk about that dotted line. But, yeah, recruiting is different. You know, this being the Southwest is much different than the Midwest. And with a program that we have, you know, if you look at our roster, we have a variety of a variety of different kids from high school to JUCO to transfer, or maybe some D1 transfers. But you know, on the recruiting trail, and when you're talking to people and trying to find the best fit for your program, one, you're praying about it, and then two, you're trying to develop relationships. And you know, I tell kids that I talk to, you know, we hope that they see it as a 40-year decision and not a 4-year decision.
Okay.
You know, you know, you're going to develop relationships and memories and experiences here at ACU, and that will hopefully last you a lifetime. And you know, we've been fortunate to recruit and sign some really talented players, but we also have a really good group of guys that compete. They get after it in practice, and they also come together and are good friends off the floor as well. So we're very fortunate and very thankful.
Caleb, I think we could say the same thing about having you on Coach Rudder's staff. It's been a delight to get to know you. We had a lot of fun in our first meeting there in the court. There, I had to introduce myself to you
absolutely.
live just before ready to tip off. But now we know one another, and it's just great having you on board here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Kevin. It's been a pleasure. We're looking forward to a tough one on Thursday.
We got the Hawks.
We got the Hawks in town. They're athletic. But we'll be ready.
You know, I pull for Dwayne Cosby as a man. I know he works his tail off over there, and it's tough. He's had a tough time trying to recruit over there as well, and he's got, maybe you might say he might have a few edges on us over here in Arizona with the recruiting advantage as far as location, right? Location,
sure, no
location.
doubt. San Diego is a beautiful place, but I like the Valley. Valley is a good place.
It's fantastic. Caleb Oetjen, our guest here on the program. We're going to talk more basketball right here with Paul Hayden and Dominic Gonzalez. They'll join the set right after this. We welcome you back inside the Tower Grill for the Storm Report, episode 14 for January 24th of 2022. I'm Kevin Derryberry. On the other side is Ed Cole. Joining us on the set, a couple of fine individuals in their own right. Dominic Gonzalez and Paul Hayden joined us here. A couple of state champions. You guys walk into this program with jewelry. I know, Dominic, you guys actually had a game plan. Jordan Augustine brought your team here. You put up some shots inside the event center, and then you went to Arizona State University and took care of business. What was that experience like for you?
Man, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, not very many high school players get to even play in the state championship game, so just being able to experience that, especially with the group we had, like the relationship that I got to build. I know Coach O was touching on that, but I mean, it's really, I can't even put it into words.
It's a 40-year development, right?
Exactly.
With those guys at Ironwood.
Yeah.
Jordan Augustine used to coach with Coach Rudder here at ACU, so a membership has its privileges in some cases as far as that recruiting goes. But, Paulie, again, you played for another iconic coach here, Ray Portella, in the slope, right? In the slope for Sunny Slope, the Vikings, and you walk out of there with a state championship ring. Your experience.
Yeah. I was on the freshman. When I was a freshman, we were on a state championship team, and we had a whole group of seniors that had played together for all 4 years, and then they won my freshman year, and then my sophomore year we repeated, and it was great being just a part of that team and getting to come into that group that had been together for 4 years all throughout high school and just contribute to that group and be able to win another state championship with them. And it just really taught me, I think it was that year, that just the leadership that they brought, because they've been there, done that, they kind of imposed it on me and just taught me what it looked like to be able to compete at that level. And as you said, Coach Portella just taught me the fundamentals of the game, taught me how to be a teammate, just everything that I am today as a player really goes back to mainly him.
Both coaches, very different, contrasting styles, but very impactful in the teaching aspect.
Yeah.
And Kev, when it comes down to it, they win championships. So the styles may be different, but when it's all said and done, you guys got their trophy, you got that championship. So having that experience, how great is it for you, Dom, and then Paul, having that experience, bringing that in here? You're sophomores. How can you impart to your other brothers who may or may not have won a championship in high school that, hey, this is the way to go. This is, if you want to be successful and win a championship, this is how we did it at the high school level. So you, Dom, and then go ahead after that, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Really, winning for me, like my biggest takeaway is culture wins. So if all the guys buy into what the team's talking about, like for us, we have the Super 7. So it's 7 things that if we buy into and we take that and apply that to our game and apply that to our life, so we'll be successful. And one thing Coach Augustine always talked to me about is how success is bigger than wins and losses, and basketball is bigger than yourself, so you're competing for a higher good. So, yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, I would just totally agree with that. And to piggyback off of it, I would say, too, it's I learned a lot that you have to sacrifice, too, whether it's sacrificing hours outside of practice to really be a champion off the court and just grind and be able to work on your game to compete at that level. Because when you get to that playoffs, Final Four, state championship, you're going to be competing with the guys who've also done that. So if you maybe not have done that, then you're going to fall short at the end. But yeah, sacrifice just to be able to, because at Sunny Slope, our whole game plan was to hold teams under 40 points, which is wild and just.
That is a different style. That's not the style that you like to sign up for, right?
Yeah, no, it can be boring at times to spectators, but like he said, it wins championships.
It's effective.
That was the culture, and it was just maybe sacrificing something that you wanted to do for the buy-in of the team in order to be successful. Everyone has to be on the same page, and in order to do that, you have to sacrifice some things.
For fun, how is Oakland Fort dealing with that type of offensive mindset? Because that guy can push tempo, he plays above the rim, he can shoot from anywhere in the gym, and he's going for three in a row, I think, now for Sunny Slope.
Yeah,
First, second, and the 6A conference.
Oakland's special. It was such a privilege to be able to play with him, and just when I was a senior and he was a sophomore, it was a lot of he's special, and I helped to impose kind of just what it looks like to be in a winning team. But he taught me a lot, too. And, man, he's going out there. Him and Elijah at Sunny Slope now are just going out there and just getting buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Dropping 25, 30 points a game. And, yeah, they're really special. So I think the Sunny Slope culture has kind of changed a little bit to fit them. Yeah.
It is.
You get two studs like
Does
that.
Coach Oetjen, does Coach Welty know those guys? Now, they might not. I mean, I think they could be a fit here. If nothing else worked out, those guys could definitely be a fit here. But perhaps they have aspirations
Coach O
to do
says
something
yes.
at another level.
Yeah, I would. Trust me, I tried to get them here. I tried talking to them.
That's all we wanted to know.
Yeah.
Are you working the circuit? And you are.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oakland's
That's great.
going to NAU. Elijah's going to
I think it's San Diego.
San Diego State, yeah. So, but yeah, trust me, I tried to get them here, but man,
I don't know where we're at in the rotation, Ed, but I want to squeeze this one in.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was it like for you guys? You know, you talk about first, and Jeff Rudder has been chasing his first ever Gsac Championship in almost a decade. He got his first one last year, and perhaps the year before, actually. And you guys were a part of that. What was that experience like, being crowned Gsac champions, taking care of business in Santa Barbara against Westmont, who's it was just one of the perennial powers in the conference? What was that experience like for you guys?
Yeah, that was a big. It was a lot of learning because, I mean, last year we went undefeated in conference play, and I know it was a little weird because of COVID, but to go 10-0 against some teams like that just really taught you a lot about yourself and then the team you had. So it was a big learning for me as a player and just how to be a part of a team that can win successfully.
Yeah, and it was kind of like we didn't even get to play the full like the teams in our conference, because some teams didn't even have a season. So just kind of like in preparation for how hard it is to win in our conference, and it's extremely competitive. And I think that's good for us, because when we get to the national tournament, we've been through adversity before, so we know how to handle it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
And that is a testament that you can deal with everything we've had to deal with the COVID, and you guys were still able to be successful, win a championship. So it speaks to what Coach O was talking about, just the resolve that this organization has, that you young men have, that whatever comes in life, you're going to deal with it and you're going to move on. Exactly. It's life. You got to keep on moving. You can't stop just because everything is falling all around. You know, the world is crashing around us, but you got to keep going on.
Right.
Dom, you know, it all starts at that lower level. You coach for and you played for Jordan Augustine, and he had an understanding of what it would be like to play in the Gsac conference, play in the NAIA, and the recruiting aspect. I don't know who gets credit for what, but you guys are here, and I know Trey Clarkson and Josh Cole have a lot to do with recruiting and some of the players that are here, and so always want to give those guys their just due and love. Those guys are great people as well. But first team All-State, Region Player of the Year, 2-time District Player of the Year. You come in with little accolades. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't really like to focus on the accolades and whatnot, because I feel like that stuff's like hindsight. It's like, oh, I had a good career, but I mean, it's really not about what I did.
Right.
The biggest thing on my mind was just winning the state championship. So.
But that's why I get to bring it up, because you're not going to. And so when people get to get an idea what kind of players that you are, these guys come in here with some serious clout. They're legitimate basketball players, but you know, as we've all mentioned here more than one occasion here, some first-class individuals, and I think that's indicative. Your response is indicative to the type of players that Coach Rudder and his staff recruit here.
Oh, and Kevin, so I'm looking at Paul's bio, and it says at Sunny Slope High School he played football for 1 year varsity. You think Coach Bowen would not like to have this young man on the team? Paul, did you ever think of coming to Coach B and says, hey, Coach, man, if you need me, I'm 6'5", 202. Just put me in there, suit me up, give me a number.
I can't say that I haven't thought about that, but yeah, I played. Well, it's never going to happen, but I played a year in high school. It was fun.
Coach Pieri?
Coach Pieri, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that was, this last year was when he retired. But yeah, I got to play for him. Great coach, but just didn't really have the desire to play in college, so I just stuck with basketball, and I think it's worked out.
I think so.
Yes, it has.
You know, I refer to the guys that come off the bench. I think Caleb made a reference to it in our first segment about the fellows that come off the bench, and you guys are always prepared. I call you guys the stunt men, and you guys are clearly part of the stunt team. Xander Bowers is in that group, and there's more guys. Kevon Vaughn, if you would, just share your comments on Key. I think he's been a consummate professional here. You talk about a young man that comes in prepared on a nightly basis. It doesn't matter what arena we play in. I remember him going blow-by on Lugan Stewart at ASU a few years back when we played an exhibition game there. Lugan Stewart, for those of you who don't know, he's in the NBA right now. He was a one-and-done player, a freshman at ASU for Bobby Hurley. But he's a dude, as you guys refer to in the industry. And Kevon Vaughn, there's no fear in that young man.
Yeah, Kevon's special, man. Just the aspects he brings to the team, from his competitiveness to his goofiness off the court. Like, I just feel like that stuff is needed on teams. You need kind of like a glue guy, you could sort of say. Like, that's Kevon in my eyes.
I think Jordan Augustine, when we were prepping for the state championship basketball a couple years back, when you played that game, I did that one on radio, and one of you, it wasn't you, but there was another guy you referenced as the glue guy on that team. You had a couple of them.
Yeah.
So we'll just share the wealth there, Tom.
Yeah, no, that's key for sure.
I'll say one thing about Key. He really is the ultimate teammate and leader. I can remember countless times over the summer when we've been working out or just playing pickup together, and he was constantly encouraging me, telling me to keep shooting if it wasn't going in and stuff like that. And even from the bench side of it, just during games, he's constantly talking to our teammates, constantly encouraging, constantly. Like, he sees the game in a way that is really just unique, and so he really can speak into other people during the game, and just he's the ultimate teammate.
He too comes from a great head coach at Deer Valley and Jed Dunn. I mean, collectively, honestly, as long as I've been around, 25 plus years, all those guys are great men, great coaches, great leaders, and you guys were privileged to play with for one of each of those guys. Incredible.
Yeah,
sure.
it was awesome. It was great just getting to know them too outside of basketball. So yeah, just to I've had so many discussions with Coach Augustine, Coach Dunn. It's just been really just a great community. In that high school
for sure. And it's crazy. I was actually going to go to Deer Valley High School. I was filling out my classes at Deer Valley, and
Really?
before I signed off, something just hit me. Just said go to Ironwood.
Interesting.
I have no idea what it was.
That worked out
Definitely
pretty
a
well
God-
for you, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely a God thing for real.
Cool.
Something just hit me. Go
The
to Ironwood.
intervention right there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Dom, we got about 2 more
sure.
minutes left, but points, rebounds, assists, just total production and the energy that you guys bring off the bench. How important is that to the success that this basketball team has, that Coach Rudder and Coach Oetjen, Coach Welty, everybody knows that when they put you in, you guys can deliver?
Yeah, for sure. I think we provide the team with a spark that we need. I come in or Paul comes in, hit a couple shots, then it gets the guys going and just pumps everyone up because everyone trusts us, and I think that lifts weight off of our shoulders, so we don't feel pressure to have to perform in the game because everyone knows how skilled we are or whatever the case may be. But I think that's huge for us. Yeah.
Minutes are clearly hard to come by on this roster. We've talked a lot of reasons why. Dom, last year you played in all 27 games. You started 10. That's quite a successful first year for you as a freshman.
Yeah, for sure. I'm extremely grateful to be able to even play on a team that special. I mean, we were competing with Division I's last year. I even started against New Mexico. And just to be able to play on a team with so many talented guys is just really a blessing. And I'm extremely grateful for that.
My last one for Mr. Hayden. We see Paul in here every Monday night. We had the hiatus for 6 weeks.
Here we go, Coach O.
But for Paul Hayden,
Donuts.
Bible study is a big thing for him. His faith in Christ is huge, and I just thought that Paul, you might want to elaborate on that. I think one of your favorite Bible verse here is Genesis 50:20. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, Genesis 50:20 is all about the story of Joseph, where sold into slavery, goes through all these horrible things through his life, but always remains faithful to God. And Genesis 50:20 talks about that even what the enemy meant for evil or what man meant for evil, God meant for good, and that throughout anything in life, if it's adversity, if it's hardship, remain faithful. God will use it for good for all that love Him and are called according to His purpose. And it's just a story of really my testimony that I can go a little bit into is Coach Cole, who was assistant coach here last year, is actually the one that led me to Christ. And it happened during a time where I was a sophomore in high school, where my mom and I got in a really big fight, and she ended up calling Coach Cole saying, I don't know what to do anymore, you need to come pick him up. It was bad. And picked me up, brought me to this ministry called Madhouse, where it's just a bunch of inner city kids playing basketball, and then they share the Word of God after. Kept on going, and eventually gave my life to Christ through that. My life was transformed, and I just look back on that, and that fight with my mom was something that the enemy probably meant for so much evil to tear us apart, but God still in His sovereignty meant it for good and meant to draw me towards Him. It changed everything about me. So
Amen.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Monday
Phenomenal.
nights, Monday
awesome.
nights. We've been doing this for about 15 weeks, I think now. You see me in here
Yeah.
every Monday. But yeah, I just come in and we have a good group of kids that show up, a good group of people that I can call friends now that are here, some from GCU, and we just get in the Word of God together and just have Him reveal Himself to us because that's what brings life. So we do that every Monday.
That is just tremendous.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You learn something new every
Sophomore year
day.
of high school, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I
know
know
we're
about
gonna-
your brother?
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little baseball with Mark Flatten here in just a second, but other aspect of that is that Paul is also a giving young man, and he brings in donuts for the study group. And
Coach O wants one.
tonight,
you gotta bring them
there's
in with donuts.
There's no donuts, but that's okay. First-class individuals right here on our set. We're proud to have them here at ACU. The number 8 team in the country. These guys will be on display. The stuntmen will be back on the court inside the event center on Thursday night. If you can't make it, we encourage you to come out here on campus on 1 West Firestorm Way. Jam up that arena. These kids could use your support. If you can't join us live, we'll have all the action for you on the Gsac Sports Network. But gentlemen, thank you guys so much for being on
thank
the
you for having
program.
Yeah, thanks for having
thank
us.
you,
For
fellas.
It was
sure.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
you.
We're going to take a break. We're going to talk with the associate head coach of the baseball diamond, Mr. Mark Flatten, joins us on the program straight ahead. We welcome you back inside the Tower Grill on the campus of Arizona Christian University. I'm Kevin Derryberry. My broadcast partner is Ed Cole, and joining us on the set is the associate head coach of ACU baseball. This is Mark Flatten. Congratulations on the 2-0 start, Coach, and congratulations on being here under the direction of Joe Mack, Joe McDonald, our head baseball coach. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you. It's great to be here and excited to get a real season started off. You know, last year was just so unique. It almost felt like, you know, week to week we were wondering where it was going to go, what was going to happen, and now this year it just feels more like, hey, it's baseball season, let's get going.
How about 34 runs scored on 22 knocks, and you guys earned your way on base 13 times in 2 games by the hit batter. Just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, we've been on the other side of that sometimes, so I know how painful that can be. But for us, it's a great opportunity getting guys on. I think we had, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 14 extra base hits in the 2 games. So there's just constantly people on, which gives you a good chance to score some runs with those hits. So.
Nothing like having a burner like Manny Villa on base. 3 stolen bases in 1 game. He has 4 all last year, so 3 in 1 game for Manny Villa. He's our stud third baseman. Great young man, too. But as we just witnessed with Dominic Gonzalez and Paul Hayden, just a lot of great characters on campus at ACU, Coach.
Yeah, it's we were just talking about this the other day. It's just such a pleasure to be in the dugout, to be around the guys, whether we're at practice or whatever we're doing. Today we were putting up batting cages and just doing stuff to put ourselves in position to be successful, and just fun guys, good guys, just always talking about things that are going to move us forward, how we can be better on and off the field, and just real pleasure to be around. I think that's some of that's recruiting, but some of it's just the growth that most of those guys get when they get here on campus because they're surrounded by so many good people.
Mm-hmm. Coach, of course, it's only been 2 games, but as far as the identity of this baseball team goes, what are you looking for it to be over the course of the season, over the course of this long season that's ahead of you?
Well, it's a really good question because we have so many new guys. When you bring a lot of new guys in, especially over the course of those last 3 years, most of that team kind of stuck around and was the core of what was going on. So, we really are getting into new territory with this new recruiting group and in this season. And so for us, a little bit of it is kind of an unknown, kind of getting to where we can feel ourselves out a little bit. But, for us, we want to be able to, we want to play good defense. We want to throw strikes, and we want to give ourselves a chance to be successful at the plate. And, all of that is coach speak. But I think the kids that we brought in, the people that we had coming back, that combination really fell into exactly what we're doing. The buy-in is good. Mm-hmm. And so, just it's given us a really good opportunity for us to kind of put into play what Coach Mack's ultimate plan is to play fast with positivity. And we're always moving forward, whether it's stealing bases, getting on and off the field, just getting after it. And this group really has embraced that so far.
Joe Mack always mentions to me, I'll ask him about a player, and he said, well, he's sitting right now because all I ask for is a hard 90. And if we don't see the hard 90, you might be sitting. Joe Mack has changed this culture. He took over for Swifty a few years back, and Coach has 2 30-plus win campaigns in 3 years. He's 94-50 in his brief tenure here. You talk about a metamorphosis. The change is real, and that culture change is real as well. And you talk about some of the guys that graduated last year or moved on to new endeavors. Justin Berkey, Ramon Miranda. There's a lot of great dudes. And then just look at the pitching: Brett Aker, Trevor McGee, Brent Smith. We're talking about a core group of some really quality guys. That's a foundation. Those guys are pillars of any institution, really, on the diamond.
Yeah, for sure. And, when you lose those guys and you bring in the guys that obviously we went out, we watched, we found the guys we wanted, and we got them on campus, but you just don't really know what you have until you get out there. And, when you had such a solid core group of guys, it was continuously doing what you wanted them to do. And, the nice thing about that is you hope the culture part sticks, because that's where the change is going to take place. We can find good players. There's lots of good players out there, but those good players don't always fit into what you're trying to get done, and that can create division or obstacles along the way that don't need to be there. And for us, finding the right culture fits, bringing guys in that are going to not only fit in but move forward because of what's going on is really the opportunity that we're looking for. And we think they can play baseball. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here at all. So I think the combination of those things coming together is going to allow us to have a chance to be successful.
Coach, being a coach at the high school, professional, at the college level, being a scout in the professional level, how has all of those experiences prepared you for this first year with ACU?
Well, it's what's really interesting for me is, I love baseball. It's been my whole life. Very few people get to do one thing. I played and then I coached, and I've been in the game for almost 40 years as those two things. And so for me, the love of the game really drives me, and the opportunities that the game has provided to me is really always pushed me forward to give back to what's going on. So level of play, who I'm working with, where I'm at, what I'm doing become very meaningless to me. What I see in front of me is someone who also loves the game, wants to get better. So how am I going to do my job to help them do their job? And the big part of that is just continuing to learn. I've never stopped learning. Baseball is one of those games that the same thing happens a lot all the time, but then you'll be like, man, I've never seen that before. So, it's just a continuing learning process. Obviously, the game itself has evolved over the last 10 years with the analytics and different parts of the game that are changing and going in different directions or different opinions and things like that. So for me, kind of trying to continue to find how all of that fits together to bring out the best in me as a coach to then be able to present it to our players wherever I am, whatever I'm doing.
Those changes that you refer to in baseball, that literally is for another show. We could really talk about what's going right in baseball and what's going wrong in baseball. I'm not sure that Rob Manfred is taking us all down the right path. But having said that, Coach, one of the great things about Joe McDonald is his love for the game, his affinity for people. And, I feel for Joe Mack in so many ways, because here at ACU we lost Coach Lusardi a couple years ago, a tremendous man. I know that we lost Coach Calderon. We're going to get to that in a second. I know his wife is battling cancer right now. We pray for a positive and good result for her next scan. We'll get that tomorrow. But he's had so much to deal with off the field, but yet he's kept his focus on the field and continues to lead. And I mentioned some of the brief accolades. With the success that he's had in such a brief time, it's just unbelievable what kind of a leader he is.
Well, for sure, and right off the bat, the thing that when I'm thinking about all of those things, I just if you're going to be a really good head coach, you can't be afraid to have other good people around you. Mm-hmm. And he went out and got good people. He surrounded himself by quality coaches, quality individuals, just people with the character that's off the chart. And because of that, when all of these things have come into play, it's allowed him to be able to stay in the lanes that he needs to be in at that moment in time, because other things can get taken care of. And as we all know, in most of our life, if we try to control everything, and there's so much that's out of our control, and so for us to be able to step into those times and really take leadership at that moment, not take over, because it's not our thing. We're implementing what the process is that he wants in place. But for him to not only know that we can do that for him, but that part that mostly brings people down, the envy part, that's mine, pull back. He just doesn't have it. He wants the kids to be successful. And so because of that, it's allowed us to deal with all of the things that have been going on for us on and off the field, all of the hard times, just throw COVID into that and everything that's come with that. And so, for us, the coaching staff is just a huge part of that, because we really don't miss time when we have to deal with things in a certain way. And that doesn't mean that we wouldn't be better if he was there, but we certainly just try to keep it on track till he's back and can continue to push us in the right direction.
You mentioned Coach Mack and just the importance of him growing and building young men. For you, how rewarding is it to you for over all the decades that you've done this, to be able to guide young men and continue to grow them into adulthood?
It's honestly it's the best part of doing it. It really is. I love the game.
Rewards, right,
Yeah,
Coach?
Yes, so rewarding, right?
I love the game. I love the game. Like, I know it's not in vogue to watch a baseball game on TV anymore, but I can do it. And I'll go to
still
games.
do, yeah.
I'll go to games. I'll watch games. I'll do anything I can because I think it's an opportunity for me to be better, because ultimately I want to pass that on in whatever way I can. But just for me, watching the growth of guys, the players, the people that we interact with that's the rewarding part, because, I've gotten to do things at a very high level, the level that every single one of us that puts on a uniform wants to be at one point or another. But the reality is you're not going to get there for most of us. The end comes at some point. It's usually not your decision. So what are we going to do, while we're there? If that was our ultimate goal, then why are we even, putting our cleats on every day? And so finding other reasons to be out there and other ways to impact people through the game of baseball is where it really, for me, that's where it's at. And because of that, I've gotten to do so many different things, and meet so many different people who ultimately end up impacting me and creating, differences in my lives. And
who are some of those people, Coach?
Well, just, it honestly can be, a guy who never gets off the bench and doesn't play, but you build this relationship that you would have never had because, you're trying to win. You're trying to win. That guy doesn't help you win a game, but he helps your program win. And when you do that and you have those things, it's very humbling, because as a player, we go back to the control thing. I can control it. I'm in charge. I'm going to get it done. And so for me, that's a huge part of it, because a lot of guys aren't going to play as much as they want. A lot of guys aren't going to have the role that they want to have. But can they still have an impact within the program? And more importantly, do they know it? Is it rewarding to them? Because what they all want is to be the 4-hitter and play shortstop, But if you're not going to do that, can you still function within that group and get something out of it? And I think especially at a program like this, you see that, because we have 1 million guys that are going to walk off campus one day and impact the world in a great way. And for me, I've tried to do that wherever I'm at, no matter what the situation is. But here, it's the number one goal. So it's a really neat opportunity for me to be involved in.
Coach, 4 decades, 40 years.
Yeah.
I was figuring, I was giving you a chance with what they saw softball that you could do a little name dropping right here. You could go back to the archives through your career. I know you spent time with the Pittsburgh organization as a scout, other places along the way. Again, 40 years is an incredible tenure in the game that you loved, and you still have that passion. You still want to teach that passion, and I think those players feed off of it. I feed off of it. Just sitting here talking to you, but I figure there might be a couple guys along the way there that you might say, hey, this guy here you don't know a lot about, but this guy really impacted my life in a positive way.
Well, I'll tell you, at the very beginning, it's hard to ignore the very first person you worked for, whether it was good or bad. And for me, it was a great experience. My first job is at the University of Missouri, and we're in an opportunity the year before we had moved into the Big 12. So, here I am. My first job is in this gigantic new conference, and in Missouri, their dream was to be in the Big 10 because you become the southernmost school in that conference. Well, now we're the northernmost school in the Big 12, and how are we going to compete? Not only are we having a hard time getting the best kid in Missouri, but you're certainly not going to get the best kid out of Texas. So, what are you going to do? And to be in that environment when it was changing to obviously now they're in the SEC, which is amazing. So, I got an opportunity right away to be in something that was like, hey, this probably isn't going to work out very well, but let's go. You got to get after it. And we did. And I owe everything to Tim Jamison because, for me, he didn't just teach me how to be a good coach, but he taught me how to see the game down. I'm thinking 3 innings ahead. There'd be times I'd be in the dugout and think, what is he talking about? Like, that guy's not even in the game right now. I'm looking, what am I missing? And I'm like, he's thinking about pitching changes because of something that might happen, or an offensive change, or this or that. And it really changed because I was, in my mind, I was still a player. I was coaching the game as a player, and I started to learn to see things how they might end up, how they could unravel. And so for me, he set the foundation, and honestly, there isn't a lot that I don't do right now that 25 years later is still the same stuff in mindset. Obviously the X's and O's might change a little bit. My approach to it, how I do it, is going to be different. But the bottom line of what was going on is really all driven from my first few years there at the University of Missouri.
They say the mother of all skill is repetition, right? So that's what baseball's all about. Ed?
Yeah. Coach, we got the Coach Calderon Invitational Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Give us some more insight. You've got 4 teams coming in here. Just break it down for us, and I'm sure you're excited to host that Invitational.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this was one of the most exciting times leading up to opening day for me personally, because there was a lot of unknowns, but I felt really good about where we were at. Sometimes you go out there and it doesn't go so well, so that can happen, and you got to figure out ways to rebound from that. But luckily we went out, and I think we played pretty much how I thought we would play, which was that doesn't happen a lot in sports. So
against Huntington this weekend.
Yeah. So to see that, and then to go into this week, just getting back to work, getting back to the things that we got to do, I feel real good about going into this week. Not necessarily because the matchup or who we play or any of that. Just I think we're going to go out and be who we are. I think we have a pretty good grasp on that within our group, and our intention is to continue to do that, which is obviously what you want to do, because we can't control anything else. We don't have control over anybody else or anything that's going to happen. We have control over ourselves. So doing that, I feel good going into the week. I think we'll be in a good spot. Obviously, the competition is going to be really good. For most of those schools, it'll be their first few games of the season, so they're going to be excited to get out and, looking ahead at the weather, who's going to be unhappy with being out there and being, sunny and 72, so that's going to be great. And, it's going to be a really cool environment because we're going to have games back-to-back, so games on both fields going on at the same time. So I think the environment is going to really draw some really neat things in, it's the beginning of the year, so obviously you're hoping nobody's burnt out yet, but the big picture is you're always looking for a little bit of something to push you and keep you going, and I think so this weekend should be pretty fun.
It's the Coach Calderon Invitational. Eastern Oregon University will be here, Kansas Wesleyan University, Taylor University, we've seen them. I think this will be their 3rd or 4th year in a row for them. And then number 22 in the country, Mid-American Nazarene University also will be here. All those games will be on the Gsac Sports Network. Coach, my last one for you is that Joe Mack has always mentioned about Coach Calderon and the man that Coach Calderon is. I know he had this tournament over at Boulder Creek for a number of years. You mentioned some of the coaches, or you alluded to them, Coach Osterode and Coach Milner, and I know there's a few more guys that are major contributors to this organization, but Coach Calderon was a big deal in Arizona baseball, and I know that's part of the messages. I don't know what you know about Coach Calderon, but I know he was a deep friend to Coach Mack, and even the fellows were talking about relationships, and Coach Calderon is in that category.
Well, and that's one of the really neat things about Joe is, when you're his friend, you're his friend for life. You're not getting out of that one. And, it means a lot to him, what you do, how you are involved with what he has going on. My personal relationship with him started several years ago, just out recruiting, just met him through someone, and then next thing I know, I got this friend in Arizona that I'm get all kinds of information from, and which was useful to me in recruiting and doing things. And so, that obviously just continued to grow. But Joe's one of those guys where once you get involved with him, you're in with him, and he is he's dedicated a lot of things to memories of guys that have impacted him deeply. And I think one of the neat things about Coach Calderon is, he wasn't the, Coach Calderon had things going on that some of us, that would encompass our life and pull us in the wrong direction. And his time at ACU and through with Joe was growth. And I think that's one of those things that Joe really loves about this is, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you had going on. You're here now, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to let, the power of Jesus come into this program and push all of us forward. So, for him, this not only that relationship, but this tournament means a lot because it really is one of those things where it's about the growth of you when you get here and who you can become. And, obviously one of our big things is becoming your best self, and that's something we talk about a lot. And this tournament, kind of just goes right along with
it.
It
embodies all the, no question about it.
For sure.
That's Associate Head Coach Mark Flatten, our guest tonight. And, Coach, we know that you coach third base for the fellas. And as I mentioned in a hashtag for Coach Milner, get them on, get them over, and get them in. And you're the other part of that. And so we know wearing 22 out there, you look good with the red Oaks and the hat on. You obviously can play that part as a baseball guy. 40 years in the business, and we're proud to have you here at ACU. And I think our program will only be better for having you here, Coach.
Thank you. It's a great opportunity. It was certainly a God thing that got me here and put me in this position. And like I said, I try to use wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing to impact people. And it's just a great platform. Everything about ACU allows me to do the things I've always tried to do with baseball. And, I think that it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger for us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Coach. For all of us that participated in this evening's show, for Caleb Oetjen, for Dominic Gonzalez, for Paul Hayden, and for my broadcast partner, Ed Cole, that's Coach Flatten. A special thank you to Tim Gosen, our executive producer, and Robert Nielsen. I'm Kevin Derryberry. Until next time, so long for now. Thanks for watching.